I've never been to Australia before, but I would love to visit. Hopefully someday soon. Hopefully someday either late this year or early next year. But like any other country, there's things that, maybe I do here in the UK that you just don't do in Australia. And I'd love to know just so that when I get there, I don't accidentally, annoy anybody because when I come, I'd love to just have the best time possible and just not do any sort of, what's the word, faux pas.
If you come to Australia and do any of these 10 things, people won't necessarily say something to your face. Wait, what am I saying? Yes, they will. Australians will almost definitely say something to you. But the worst part about these things, most of them aren't obvious. They are tiny cultural secrets you don't even realise you're breaking until you feel that awkward silence or until someone goes, "Oh yeah, on you, mate. Good on ya." Wait, are you talking to me? No, I'm talking to the other British guy making a YouTube video in my garden. Right. Anyway, so today I'm exposing the unspoken rules that even Aussies forget they follow. Let's get into it.
All right.
Hey mate, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Sam, a British actor documenting my journey of rebuilding my life in Australia. Now in Australia, I've embarrassed myself more times than I can count. I'm almost like a walking warning sign for other tourists now. Now don't worry, none of the points in this video are going to get you locked up if you break any of them. They're just frowned upon socially. So number one, do not throw Fahrenheit or miles into a conversation. I've discovered that units of measurements are taken very seriously in Australia. Now if you're completely...
So it's all metric system. So it's all kilometers, what's the word? Kilograms, grams. Hey, I'm all for that.
Lost by this. Well, some countries like the United States of America, Liberia, Cayman Islands, they use Fahrenheit to measure temperature, whereas in Australia and the UK, you would use Celsius. So in Australia, if you use Fahrenheit instead of Celsius in a conversation with an Australian, they'll probably call you out for it. Probably not in a rude way or anything, but they'll probably, make a bit of fun of you. Now, I didn't think it was that deep, right? Until I started using miles in Australia. So for context, in Australia, you use kilometers, whereas in the UK, we use miles. And to be fair, the majority of the world does use kilometers. So I understand why it's really important to be able to understand both. Now, I'm an
And it's just so much easier, 1,000 meters in a kilometer. 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Like the metric system is just so much easier.
Runner, and having used a lot of British and American training plans, my brain completely thinks in miles when it comes to running. It's just something that's become a complete habit to me. I've mentioned before that, I prefer to think in miles, and even saying that alone, it can rub people up the wrong way. If I could give you a piece of advice is try not to mention Fahrenheit or miles in Australia. You're not going to get locked up for it. No one's going to shout at you, but people do get a bit aggy about it, I'm not going to lie. Number two is assuming winter isn't cold. But when I officially moved to Australia, winter came, as it inevitably does, and it actually was so chilly that I needed to put on winter clothes.
Really?
Shock.
But I thought that winter in Australia was still warm, because I thought Australia was pretty warm year round.
Probably thinking, wow, Sam, are you surprised that you got a bit cold in winter? Actually, yes, I was. In Australia, I thought it was going to be hot in the winter.
Yeah.
That was the lie I was led to believe, especially living in Brisbane, Queensland, the sunshine state where it's always sunny and hot, as people like to tell you in the UK. But when it's winter and night comes, you need that heater on, right? Which is also an AC unit. Amazing invention. You're getting into your...
So people still turn on the heater in Australia? Guys, genuinely, this is mind-blowing to me, because we're taught here that Australia is just warm year round, or at least I was.
You're getting a bit cozy, and it's lovely. Even in the UK, it's kind of hammered into you by other people. Like, oh, you're off to Australia. Oh, you're going to be boiling. You're going to be sweating the whole time. Even in winter, mate. Yeah, it's lovely there.
Yeah.
And there is nothing worse than being cocky about, oh, I'm going to be on the beach the whole time. And then you get there and you're actually shivering in your little Airbnb. So make sure you do your research on where you're going to in Australia. If you know you're going somewhere like Tasmania, where it iconically gets very cold, and especially if you're going in autumn and winter, definitely pack some winter clothes, okay?
Is it the same sort of thing? So here in the UK, it starts getting cold in, say, September. So September to March is quite cold. Is it the same in Australia?
Kangaroos and koalas might not be shivering, but you definitely will be. And a quick reminder, if this video gets 20,000 likes, I'll actually go play a full game of AFL as a total beginner. Which, if you haven't seen the sport, basically means I'm signing up to get absolutely flattened by human tanks. So make sure you hit that like button.
Really?
Number 3,
AFL?
never do the cliche Australian lines, you know, like, oh, put another shrimp on the barbie. And definitely don't mock Australians by quoting H2O, just add water, where you go, nar, clear. And the reason why I say that is there's a very, you know...
No. Do people actually... No.
Naive Brit. When I first met my Australian wife, I was, you know, trying to show off and impress her a little bit while we were dating and getting to know each other. And I would say a few of those cliche things that you do as a tourist because you think it's going to make other people, especially Australians, laugh, like, oh, you get us. And she would just politely, but very awkwardly laugh. The more time went on, I realised, maybe she's just very polite and I'm actually not that funny. And my wife would agree, Australians are just tired of hearing all of those cliche lines like put another shrimp on the barbie, which was from this iconic tourism ad to get more people.
Oh, that's actually from an advert. I just thought that was something people said.
To come to Australia, and the locals will have heard it a million times before from thousands of other tourists like yourself, and you might get an awkward sympathy laugh, but no one's really having a good time. If I'm being honest. So just be yourself, you get way more laughs that way, and you're more likely to make mates with other Australians if you do so. Number 4 is never go out without your hat, your sunglasses, and your sunscreen. Of course, we all forget to do these things from time to time. You can automate all of this by literally putting your sunglasses, your hat, your keys, and your sunscreen right by the front door. You can literally slip, slop, slap that sunscreen, put the sunnies on, put your hat on, get the keys, and you're good to go.
What's the sunniest part of Australia? Like, are there certain regions, or I think it's states, that are known to get like more sun and more hot than the other states? I think, from what I'm aware, that the more you go inland, the more hot it is. Is that true? I think I heard that from someone.
Really is that easy. Now, I could almost guarantee that there's nowhere on earth that has the same level of sun safety culture as Australia.
Really?
It is hammered into you as a kid in Australia, like no hat, no play. You can't go outside at lunchtime at school and go play outside if you don't have your wide brim hat on that's protecting you from the UV exposure. Whereas in the UK, we're just not taught that. I've talked about this before. I went paddleboarding in Australia one day. It was a cloudy day and I thought, it's cloudy, I don't need sunscreen. I got the worst sunburn of my life and you couldn't even see blue sky that day. I remember when I told my wife Maddie about the fact that in the UK, on a slightly sunny day, we might only put on SPF 15. She was absolutely shocked by that. She couldn't believe that we were putting on anything under SPF 50.
So how does the skin cancer rates in Australia compare to the UK? I would imagine because the discipline with the sunscreen is higher, they're lower, but then again, you get a lot more sun there.
Sorry to sound like an overprotective dad right now. Australia has some of the highest amounts of melanoma, skin cancer, and you don't want to be one of those numbers. So remember, slip, slop, slap, seek, slide, which is the brilliant sun safety campaign created by Cancer Council. In fact, they do a really good sunscreen that you can buy in most supermarkets in Australia. Number 5 is try to order Foster's beer in a pub in Australia. Now, in the UK, for what felt like the majority of my childhood, I would see Foster's beer TV commercial.
Foster's, good call. Like, I thought this was an Aussie beer.
And they would always supposedly be Australian actors and characters on screen. They were basically very enthusiastic about it being, you know, a brilliant Australian beer. And, you know, this is what we Australians drink. And then I go to Australia and I actually don't see it anywhere. And it can actually be quite hard to find in places. So even if you do go to a pub where you can order it, right? It's fine if you want to drink it, but especially if you're with Australian mates and locals, people will probably have a good laugh if you order a Foster's, especially if the pub doesn't have it. They'll be like, mate, we drink other stuff here. I personally don't drink alcohol anymore, but when I did, I loved beer. So I actually drink non-alcoholic beer, and one of the best no-alcohol beers I've ever had is by Heaps, which is an Australian company. So if you are visiting Australia or New Zealand, definitely pick up some Heaps no-alcohol beer. The stuff is absolutely delicious.
That's absolutely blown my mind. Foster's, I thought, was like the biggest beer in Australia or something, with how sort of much they push it here in the UK. Like, I thought for sure it was like the Budweiser of Australia.
Ordering a Foster's, it's not a crime, but it does kind of make you look like not only have you not done any research on what you could drink in Australia, but it kind of shows a lack of wanting to sort of assimilate with the community, with the locals, and, you know, maybe try what they have. It is kind of like going to Rome and ordering a Domino's pizza. It's like, you can do it, but why? Why? You could have had a proper one. You can literally just strike up a conversation with the bartender and you can say, what would you recommend? They'll absolutely love you for it. Now, it's funny, these little rules, they kind of got to me at first, right? Because so much of my job as an actor is to be able to pick up on other people's social cues and to be observant around life around you. However, there were certain things that when I moved, I just wasn't picking up, and it felt like I couldn't keep up with everything, and I was just this weird, strange, awkward British guy in the corner. But then I realised, especially since being with my wife, that Australians, they're not looking for perfection. They'll just notice if you try. They'll notice if you're making an effort. And honestly, speaking from experience, Australians are genuinely some of the most welcoming, friendly and caring people I've ever met.
Yeah, I will say, like the Aussies that I've met in London, I'm trying to think, have I ever had a bad experience? No, I dated one briefly called Tess. She was great. She was from Fremantle. She was funny. She was so funny. The thing Aussies tend to have a really good sense of humor, or at least I like that sense of humor. Really sort of like dark in a way. Like, I just love it. Yeah, the Aussies that I've met, and the Kiwis too, like just fun people from experience.
Besides my own loved ones in the UK who give me so much love and affection, outside of that circle, I do sometimes feel quite isolated and lonely in the UK. But if you go to Australia, most people will welcome you with open arms. But as long as you're trying to make the effort, they'll just appreciate you for trying. Number 6 is talking loudly on public transport.
Yeah, this is a massive pet peeve of mine. Like, why are you yelling on public transport? Or like, why are you playing a video on your phone without headphones? It's just horrible.
This is the exact same rule in the UK, right? If you're on a business call, right, and you're shouting down the phone, you're like, Dave, no, I want 10,000 of those beans. It's a big bean contract. People, right, especially in Australia, I reckon they would probably call you out for it. Whereas in the UK, we awkwardly sit at the back of the bus and we sort of just grumble. Whereas in Australia, I genuinely think someone would go up to you and be like, hey, mate, enough of that now, thank you. So just be considerate of others. People, you know, we're all struggling with our own problems. You don't want to add to someone's plate by being very, very loud. By the way, I also have a Patreon where I upload exclusive videos and behind the scenes. It's the best way to get closer and support the channel, so I'll leave that in the first link in the description below if you want. Number 7 is forget to greet shop staff. Now, when you typically go into a retail store in Australia, there will usually be a very friendly person who says, hello mate, how are you? How you going? Anything I can help you with today? And especially if you're feeling, you know, a little bit shy that day, if you suffer from social anxiety, I know I did when I was at university, but you only need to be polite and friendly back. A little hello, how you going, is all you need. But this is really important because even if you're a tourist, even if English isn't your first language, just a smile back, even if you can't understand what they're saying, that can go much further than sort of awkwardly ignoring them. And
I love this one. It's like common courtesy. Like, when did it become a thing where someone says hello to you or hi to you and you just don't even acknowledge them? When did that start happening in society? Like, we can't just give each other like that sort of basic acknowledgement, you know, even if it's just like a nod.
Hiding behind a shelf in the store, they'll maybe be a little bit offended and they'll probably be thinking, have I done something wrong to them? Same goes for public transport. If you're getting off the bus, it's nice to, you know, do a little wave or say thank you to the bus driver. It's just the rhythm of Australia, and once you get into it, I reckon you'll start enjoying it. Number 8 is say mate in the wrong way. Now in the UK, we say mate all the time, but what I've discovered is that we are generally saying mate in a very friendly and chirpy way, if you can call us that. Whereas in Australia, they actually get quite technical with the word, quite scientific even. Aussies can actually use it as a term of endearment, or actually they're not happy with you at all. So if they go, mate, you know, good vibes, happy, let's keep going. If they're like, mate, oh, something's happened there. So it's not the word that does the talking, it's the tone and the delivery. But if you're not from a country that typically uses the word mate, don't feel like you have to. And honestly, I would say don't force it. Speak how you want to speak. Number 9 is tip. You don't need to tip. Way!
Oh, get in there. Oh my God. Went to Texas last year. Jesus. Everywhere you go, 20%, 25%. It's mental.
If you're American, you're probably very happy about that right now, or very shocked. But generally, the staff in Australia, they get paid fairly decently. It's a lot better than other countries, right? Of course, there will be some businesses and practices in Australia who pay their serving staff absolutely terribly.
What's the average wage for like a waiter or a server in Australia? Like, I have heard the minimum wage or the wages you can get as someone just traveling to Australia are quite good.
Which is not okay at all, but generally Australian staff are paid much better than other parts of the world. Not to mention you don't get that social judgment if you call in sick, whereas you would in the UK. Like with a lot of bosses, they would make you feel bad for calling a sickie. But in Australia, they do add surcharges onto your bill. Particularly if it's a holiday, there will be a holiday surcharge on there. There could be a service charge on there. However, if the service you got was really special, you could tip the person serving you in Australia, and I'm sure they'd be very thankful and very...
But it's not compulsory. You don't have to.
Very grateful for that, but you almost wouldn't tip too much because they probably think you've forgotten your wallet or something. Number 10 is stand too close to someone in a queue. There are certain cultures where personal space isn't as big of a deal and, you know, people are more comfortable standing closer to each other. I would say in the UK and Australia, people like their personal space a little bit more. So you don't want to get right behind them and you don't want to get right up in someone's face when you're talking to them. You gotta, you know, imagine there's that personal space bubble. And I say that because when you go to a theme park and it's really busy, or if you're queuing outside for that, you know, new brunch cafe and you're really excited for it, you do sometimes forget these things in the real world, like, oh, I'm gonna just shuffle forward a bit so to keep everything moving, but then you're actually really close to someone and you can smell their shampoo and it's kind of like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. So Aussies, they really do appreciate their personal space, and if you respect it, they'll respect yours, so it's win-win. Now you're probably thinking, Sam, these tips are all very well and good, but isn't Australia really expensive to visit and live in? Well, it's not as expensive as you think, and there's these 8 incredible things that are completely free in Australia that completely shocked me as a Brit. So click this video here.
Great video. Honestly, like, it just makes me want to go to Australia even more, because a lot of these to me seem like just common courtesy things, like things that you just would do normally as a good person, like not standing too close to somebody, you know, greeting somebody in a restaurant, like things like that are just like, I would do that automatically. And to know that there's places where that is like the expected behavior is a great thing. I think for me, getting used to the weather, because I've always lived in London, born and raised here, and you probably know, like London, just the weather here, apart from summer, is pretty bad. Like even now, we're in May and it's just raining so hard. We're meant to be almost in summertime and it is raining, it's cold. So getting used to somewhere that it's warm for a lot of the year, sunny for a lot of the year would be a big adjustment. But yeah, I really want to get to Australia, but how much would I need? Like if I was coming to Australia for, let's say, 3 weeks and I wanted to spend a week in 3 big cities, let's say maybe Melbourne for a week, where else? Maybe Sydney for a week, Queensland for a week, something like that. How much would I need? Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.